to Crafting Sundays on the 999 ASMR Tarot. And we are finishing this thing. So let's just finish this thing. I started it last night. We started it last night. And we're going to work on the foreground, the little sails, getting the sails to look right, and the foreground as far as the water and so forth. And that's what we're doing now. So without much further ado, let's get going. So what I'm going to be doing is working on this yellow. Well, we'll just show you. Why don't I just show you? I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to thin down. We're going to thin down. And the reference photo here is a photograph that I took. Hello, Crazy Ender. The reference photo is one that I took in Hawaii when I spent a birthday there in 2018. And so I'm using a glazing fluid. Hello, Crazy Ender. I almost watched that movie last night when I got off here, the Ender's Game. But then I decided that I needed to get to sleep, so I chose to not watch it. I'm thinning this down, the paint down here, with the glazing fluid and a little bit of water. And as you can see, by looking at all the different layers of paint here, that there's a lot more depth. There's a lot more depth to this piece here. You can see far, far away. It almost has like a holographic effect. Not quite, but almost. I'm going to put in this sail here, just a little bit of space where it has come up above the so it's not exactly attached. So you look over here, the sails aren't exactly attached, but on this one over here, far, far away one, it does look like it's that it's attached to this bottom part of the mast. So we'll do a second sail that's coming down here, maybe a different color. I added onto this palette some reflex orange. And so this is over here is reflex red, and this is reflex orange. And so I want to add some orange into this sail when we get a little further along in the painting process. Welcome Zenitsu, and welcome Harmarza, or Dirk. Welcome, Dirk. Just working on this painting. If I just leave it loose like this, it almost looks like those are ties on there. I think I need a different brush, one that is more, gives me a little bit more control. So I'm going to come in and take this white and just scrape it off this little stick here. Jeff, welcome. Welcome for a few minutes. Day by Day Christine, welcome. I am, it's really dark out here. I'm okay. I mean, I'm better than I was a couple days ago, Jeff. I mean, I had to get like a whole ton of sleep in order to feel better. But yeah, these are really dark times we're in. Weather-wise, it's really dark in the house. raining, and the dog is just the dog is miserable. Dog wants to go for a ride, but when I get done with this stream, it'll be too late. I need to finish my work on my card order. I have a link in the chat here, and the link in the chat is to the YouTuber I used to build the underpainting. And so this is the underpainting that I had on underneath this image. And I think the guy's name was Max Cole or something like that. So I used his techniques in order to create an underpainting. And so I'm going to put a layer of just white here. And it should be, yeah, it's semi-transparent. And so by using semi-transparent colors, you're welcome. For using semi-transparent colors, you, instead of building the shade on your palette, you add the layers of the colors you want that shade to be directly onto the canvas in the form of semi-transparent colors. So you will be seeing light through all the different layers of paint that is there, reflected back in your eye, and it gives a more in-depth feel, to what it is you're working on. And so that's the theory. So that was like, when So when I watched this special, I think a couple months ago, it was on this guy who set out to recreate the Mona Lisa in like a month, but I think it took him like almost 3 months to do. He went through the different techniques, and in the Mona Lisa, I think it took Leonardo da Vinci like 15 years to complete. But and it was just the shade changes and the skin tones were all created by using thin layers of paint. If I were to do a contrast, what would be a contrasting? This here painting is one that was not used using thin layers of paint. And so there's a distinct difference between this and this technique right over here. Now, it doesn't say that this technique is bad. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just a different technique. And here I mixed all the colors on the palette. Now, there is some translucency. You can see through the layers. But it's totally different with this one. And this one, it's way tighter. It's a tighter image. Yeah, thank you, Crazy Ender. And thank you, Day by Day, Christine, and welcome, and welcome to being here. So I put a layer of yellow down that was thin, and thinned out by what I have over here is some glazing medium in here, and I'm using this glazing medium, and we're going to just paint some of it right on here. And when it gets a bit too wet, I'm going to pull out my hair dryer, and we're going to give it a dry, because I'm hoping I can get this done by 2 o'clock my time. I'm just going to add this stuff in here. The setup here is just a little bit awkward for me. Just a tad bit awkward for me. So I would kind of like it to be a little bit better, or it was closer to me. But, you know, maybe we just take a different technique and we hold that brush clear out by the end, to the end of it, and give these light little strokes. Rather than holding the brush, you have there's a tendency to hold the brush like a pencil. And the masters say that's all wrong. You should hold the brush back here. And so we'll do that. We'll do that here. And now I'm going to go and build another thin layer. I'm going to put in here some of this reflex orange. I think I'm going to, though in this picture, the stripes are horizontal. I think I'm going to make the stripes vertical on this sail. And so we're going to make, let me see if I get that paint out here, because I think I might add a, because on the paint thing itself, it talks about what this is. So this, I think, is, this here it might be in a semi-transparent. This little square here talks about its transparency. So, or its opacity. So, like, for instance, this is, I believe, I don't know what that means. I forgot. Sorry, we'll have to test it out. We'll test it out. And I think this means that it's opaque. And let's just do that while I'm just kind of letting this dry a little bit. Let's do that test. And I kind of went over that test last night in last night's. So what you do is you take your piece of paper. This is a piece of canvas. And you take the paint. Well, let's just clean the brush off. So you take the paint and you run it over this line. And if you can see the line through the paint, that shows that this is semi-transparent. And now let's go take a look at the white. I think the white has some thin down in. I'm going to go into the pot here, take some of this white, and so look, you can't see any of the line underneath the white. So this means this paint is opaque. This is an opaque paint, whereas this is a semi-transparent paint. And so then now, this is painting techniques. I'm showing you live painting techniques. And so we're going to go over here to this bunch. This is I thinned this paint down. And I'm going to lay it down on here. And you can see that it is also semi-transparent. So you can see some of the line right underneath it. And so let's go thin it down a little bit more with this glazing fluid, and do another stroke on here. It's about the same. So we're looking at this as a semi-transparent paint. So I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to just come into my glazing fluid, which I have right over here, and we're going to thin this reflex orange down just a little bit more. And add a tad bit of water, just a tad bit of water, just to work on it. And then we'll just give it a little test, a little bit of a test on it. And you can see here it's even thinner now. So this is more transparent than it was straight out of the tube. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna run a we're just gonna put some stripes on here. It doesn't really have to be too accurate. But we're just gonna put it on here. Building this sail up. Maybe we'll make this one a big, bold. Boink 3, welcome, and hello. Welcome to Crafting Sunday. We're crafting our Sunday into a trip to the sea in a sailboat for you. I remember you. Yeah, I remember you. So I'm going to come in there. And there we go. Now I'm going to go back in. I think that this yellow here was also pretty semi-transparent. So I'm going to pick that yellow up, go back in over these spots. So it's sort of a yellow and orange sail. Nice, so it can show up from the distance. Oh, that's right. We're working on the technique of holding the paintbrush by the end. That's the technique we're working with. And then lots of thin layers. And so it has over the effect of doing this, I have this effect where it looks like the sail itself is tied to the mast. It's tied to the mast beam. I don't know what that is called. Maybe you know what that is called, that part of the mast. All right, so I'm going to put in another little sail. Maybe we're going to work on this sail over here. And we'll just make this one a red and a blue, red and blue. So let's just go in and test the opacity of this primary cyan. And as you can see, this is really opaque. Now let's go take a look at that phthalo blue. Phthalo blue. And this phthalo blue is also really opaque as well. And then we'll go into the red, the primary red. I think that's magenta. And we'll come right over the primary red. And you can see that the primary red is also opaque. So we're going to just come over here. I'm just going to pull this color right over here. I'm going to put it over here. It's going to be a red and blue sail. And I'm going to thin it down with a little water. There. So you can thin paints down with water too. And because you can use glazing fluid or you can use water. You don't always have to. But we'll just show you with water. and making this into a semi-transparent color. So I'm going to just run it across this line. And it's still pretty, it's semi-transparent, but it's still pretty opaque. And so with risk of it being really, really super runny, I'm going to use the glazing fluid in order to, so I can maintain paint consistency in this. I might add just a tad bit of the reflex red into it, and I think I'm going to do that. But let's just test its opacity again. Before I actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to add the reflex red in later. And so you can see now it is now a semi-transparent paint. And compared, here's what it was originally, like out of the tube. This is mixed with some water, and this is mixed with glazing fluid. And so it is more opaque. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to just work on that brush technique of holding the brush back, not like a pencil, but holding it up the handle a little bit. So I'm going to be coming over this. I'm going to paint the whole thing red. Just kind of concentrating here, getting my concentration on. And there we go. Just kind of filling out the image. Let's see what I can do to smooth that down a little bit so it has, I think I might use stripes, like blue stripes across. And so it's going to do another little coat here. And maybe we'll go back to the other one. I think the boat needs to be a little bit longer. Maybe it needs to be a little bit longer. Maybe it needs some portholes or something. Here's like the deck. Did I have too much caffeine this morning? I didn't have, I only had some portholes in it. There we go. And then maybe we want to put a little guy on it, I think. Maybe we'll do another what color should the sail be on this side? I think I have I'm gonna maybe have it come down like this. Maybe we'll just add some white down first. And so I'm going to let it dry here for another minute or two. Let's see how this is. It's still pretty wet. All right, so we'll just do something else then. We'll let that paint dry. And come in here. Maybe we'll add some a little bit of like white caps in here. Working on the water a bit. See what do we got? Do I have any of this paint left that I mixed last night? Let's use this phthalo blue over here. And I think I want to mix it down with just a tad bit of this reflex red. Kind of in here. So you can see it has a nice color tone to it. All right, now I'm going to add in is sort of the glazing fluid that has a little bit of blue in it from last night. A little more water, just to thin it down. And let's just see how it is. Come up over here. Still a little opaque though. Still pretty opaque, so I want to thin it down more. And you can see here in this exercise how just a small amount of paint can go a long ways. I'm going to just clean off my brush, and then we'll go do another transparency test. And so I've achieved a semi-transparent state. So now this is more opaque and this is less opaque. And so we'll do that and added a little bit more water on it, and then we'll be just adding these different layers, just little bits, just little bits of this paint here and there. Thin layers. Trying to capture the motion in the ocean. Hey, that kind of rhymes. Motion in the ocean. That's what we're working on. The motion in the ocean. And the water is moving this way because the wind is blowing that way. So we want to put a little chop in it. Try to get a little chop in the water. So when you're like waiting for one area to dry, you can always go back to another area. And I like how the underpainting shows through over here, so it looks like these are like more murkier waters, or maybe it's more shallow and you can see the sand underneath. And that's kind of a neat effect. It just, I don't know what it is. It's maybe there's some algae under there, algae bed or something. No, Ash, this is acrylics, acrylic paints. So I'm just doing, while I'm waiting for the sails to dry up a little bit more, to do some more layers on them. I am working on putting the energy into the ocean. Right now I have a I'm using semi-transparent colors here. And just layers and layers and layers of semi-transparent colors. I started this last night and I worked on it for 90 minutes and then I quit And I'm at the 30-minute mark now, and I'm hoping I can get the whole thing done in another 30 minutes, but I have a feeling that it's going to take 90 minutes again to finish this whole painting. So that means it's a 3-hour painting. And then if I add the underpainting, then you're looking at it's a 4-hour painting. And each time each time I'm dipping the brush in some water, and it's making each layer, time I use it, even more transparent. Picking up some more of the color, and we'll add some of it in here. Maybe to complete the exercise, I'm going to thoroughly dry this painting with the blow dryer, and then I'm going to do just a glaze over the top of a complementary color. And so if we take a look at what a complementary color would be, I would go to my color wheel. And so I think I want to do that just to see how it's going to turn out. So we look at where we're at color-wise on the color wheel. In here, we're looking at a blue. And so on here, it's kind of like maybe in here, blue-violet. And so let's put the pointer all the way around. I'm going to put in a final coat, I'm just going to do a thin layer of a complementary color. I think maybe this one would be this blue. And so then it would be like a pink. Actually, the complementary zone is in this red-orange zone or a yellow-orange zone, depending on which layer it is. So then I think, yeah, I think we'll do that. I think that'd be a great experiment, don't you think? To do a color shift glaze over the top. All right. So where are we at? How's this? Okay, this is dried up a little bit more, so we're going to do another layer of the orange. Yellow, orange, yeah. Yeah, so that might work good on that. Do a yellow, orange. Very thin layer of yellow, orange. So another layer of reflex orange over the top here. Trying to get that sail to kind of pop off. So I got this bright orange yellow sail. I'm going to have to build that orange, yellow-orange color. And all right, let's go into the yellow now. This is just another layer. I have been wanting to do the whole over-the-top glazing, color glaze too as well, because then we'll get a sense of where the sun is and where is the sun here. If we do a yellow-orange, it will show us that the sun is, in this photo, the sun, it's really near sunset, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe the sun is over here. I'm not sure, because there's a lot of, it's dark, because everything in here is silhouetted. And I was on Waikiki Beach when I took the photograph. And so, how is it that I got it to be silhouetted when it wasn't at sunset? Huh, that's interesting. Interesting. I don't know the answer to that question. There's like this huge temptation to go even faster here, to rush it, to rush the painting. But you'll find when you are doing your paintings, you're always confronted with that desire to go faster, for faster results. But it pays off in the end if you take your time. And so that's why this is done on a live stream, and you can watch live how long it takes to actually do a painting. If you started with me last night, then right now we are at the 2-hour mark. That's 2 hours that I've spent on this painting. And this is just a little tiny thing too. You're not looking at, it's not a huge painting. It's just a little tiny feller. Let's see, what do we want to put it in context of size-wise? Do I have a quarter or something here that I can use for... Oh, I got a penny. Okay. For scale purposes, come on. Why can't I pick it up? My hands don't work. And that's why I'm no good at drawing, is because I have this gross motor skill thing. There we go. So for context, there's a penny. And that shows you how large this painting is. You know how big a penny is, and this is the comparison there. Okay, or we go over here. This is a very small painting, but it's perfect for a vertical live stream, though. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just paint this glazing fluid directly onto here. And we're doing a second sail. And we're going to add color right onto it. So these are just different techniques that you can try. That you can do different things when you are painting. You don't always have to do the same thing. So maybe this other little sail here is going to be blue. Or why don't we just do a complementary color? Let's try that. Let's do a complementary color to that other. So we have the yellow, and so it's going to be a red violet. So if we make a red violet color, and we add that in there, and we'll just use a complementary color. How about that? Let's build that complementary color. Okay, so I'm going to put some of this glazing fluid right on the thing itself. Starting to get too much paint on here. I can just feel it. It's getting a little bit rough. So I don't think it needs too much more paint in this part. So I said that was a red violet. So we'll build a red violet out of sort of like this color here with some blue in it. I think we'll go with this phthalo blue here until we build that sort of a, oh, come on, stay, please stay. I'm going to put it over here. This is the color I'm going to try to achieve here. And we're going to build that shade. And I'm going to put this red in it. Now it's just like a blue-black. Let's see what color it is now. It's like a really deep purple. Deep purple. There is a band called Deep Purple. So I'm going to thin this down. I'm going to thin it way down. I'm going to start this as a base. I might add just a tad bit of white to it. That's going to pastel it out. I don't know if I want to do that. For consistency's sake, I'm going to add the reflex rose in it. And there we go. It's starting to come up into that color range. Can you see it? You see how it's starting to match there? So what we'll do is we're going to lighten this up. I'm going to leave that other color. And then we're going to put thin layers of the reflex red right on top of it. I'm going to start with this base coat here. And let's add the glazing fluid to it, thin it down, and so it's kind of like this color here is what we're looking at. And as you can see, it is, by having added that glazing fluid down underneath, it further helps to make this color transparent. You might put some of this color right on the sea itself too. There's a little bit of carryover here, so I might want to try to pull some of this color off. This here is it's what is called a color shaper. It just has a little rubber tip on it. And I'm just moving it away from where it was and just dragging it over there. Okay. So it has that. Then by having this kind of the streakiness of it, it'll have a sense of this is fabric, and there is maybe wind pushing against this fabric. It's not completely. Maybe we'll fill it out just a little bit more, like that, coming up there. Not perfect, but it's what it is. Now I'm going to come up over this with just some of that. I have this phthalo blue over here. I'm going to thin this down. Let's take a little more of that phthalo blue, and we're going to thin it down. But the next tone I think I'm going to put on it is the reflex red. I know this is a really boring video. If you happen to not be watching right now, you can just tell by watching it that it's really super boring. Because who likes to watch paint dry? And we'll just take some of this darker color, and we're going to put some flecks of it in here, just little tiny lines. Just being very careful with it. So it has just these are lines of, these little bits and flecks of light and darkness. Okay. All right, we're just going to add that color into this other sail. Kind of like some horizontal stripes. Maybe it's bulging out just a little bit. There's a hair on here. Okay. I'm going to come in with just a little brush, a little different brush here. All right, that looks like hell. It's okay. All right, Billy. It's totally the wrong kind of brush to use for this. It's got too many frayed ends on it. And okay, so we have that color. I'm going to come back to the color wheel in a bit. I'm going to come back and down on this mast. Maybe it's got some people on it. I don't think you'd see people like that. Let's just take the color shaper and we're going to pull this off, blend it in, lift the color off a bit. There we go. See? I made it, lifted the color off. So in the far, far away distance, it may have these little specks of people over here. Little shapes. They're all in the boat working. Maybe you can see it. Put just little extra details like that in it. Maybe there's a buoy off in the distance. Okay. I'm not going to add a second flag over here. But we are going to come in adding more water to the paint, thinning it down, and I'm going to put this right in this zone here. So you can see it, kind of see it in there. And then I'm going to come in over here. I'm going to add this reflex rose. We're just going to make this one a solid color. And you can see the other color right underneath it. Kind of reminds me of, like, you know, when you're in kindergarten, you play with a parachute. And you got that real playing with a parachute and you're flipping a ball around in it. Do you remember that? That's what the texture of this sail reminds me of, like parachute material. Having these folds in it that are shadows and folds. Okay. Phthalo blue. I'm completely off camera. I'm sorry. The camera's at the same exact level as my eyeballs right now. So I'm going to put up here at the top of the sail is some of this blue. Do another coat of the blue over it. So it's a blue and reddish striped flag. Flag. Why do I keep on saying flag? Keep saying flag over and over and over again. I'm saying flag, and it's not flag. It's a sail. This is a sail, not a flag. And so here we go. Let's take a look at it. Come up close. Can you see the color differences in there? Can't. Actually, I can't. It's all blending together. I can see it from here. I just can't see it on the camera. That there is this color difference. Maybe it's going to need a flag on the top of the. The wind is blowing this way. It's going to have a little flag sort of rippling in the wind going that way. There we go. It's a big flag up there. There we go. Big flag. And trailing off, you know the direction the wind is blowing here. Big giant flag. It wouldn't have a flag like that in nature anyways, in the world, but in this world, that's how this is. I think I'm going to extend the mast up on this boat. Coming back over. Mast up there like that. There we go. And big mast. Let's put a big flag on that too, showing that the wind is just whippling around. There we go. It's fluttering around. But since this one's closer, it should be longer, right? Fluttering there. I think we might be able to lift some of this color off. Over here. No, it's too long. It's too late. It's done is done. What's done is done. All right, now I am going to come back in, and we have another color here. So let's do primary blue this time. We're going to add some primary blue, and we're going to thin it down. Primary cyan. Let's see where we're at for the primary cyan. And it's really still opaque, so we need to thin it down even more. Let's take it off the brush. Add it on the brush, and then get it off of the brush. Just little strokes. Kind of putting in some wavy lines here. Little bits of color. Little bits of color. Just got a little bit of a wake coming here on the hole's edge there. Maybe over here too. Sort of lapping up on the hole. Mm-hmm. What I'm doing is I'm turning the brush as I'm dragging it along. I'm turning the brush. Turning the brush, adding energy to the foreground. I'm going to take a blender brush and run it right over the top of this surface here with the hopes that we can smooth out some of the colors, smooth out the coloration here. And I have that, where's that blender brush at? The one I want to use. Actually, it's in the other container I have right underneath. So this is my blender brush that I use. It's actually a natural hair paintbrush is what it is. Horse hair or something like that. And so what I'm doing is I'm just drawing the color right off just to blend that into the rest of the image there. Come over the top too just a little bit. I'm dragging that color across. Oh look, some of it drug way across there. But it's alright. There's some other different colors in the sky. So we're just mainly in this foreground, just to bring out that energy, the energy that exists in the water. Okay. I'm going to come back in here. Now, what exactly happened here? That's right, I pulled color off. If there's a clear distinction between here and there, I can, all right. I'm going to be just taking a little bit of, uh-oh. Got some yellow in there. I didn't want that. There we go. We're just kind of doing a little bit of correction. So it still has that color there. We're blending it in. Happy accidents, right? And is that what Bob Ross always says? Happy accidents? Kind of a cloud bank over here. A little cloud way off there in the distance. Okay. Over here too. Some of these just thin little clouds. Happy clouds. All right. And maybe in our happy little clouds, take a little bit of this blue here. Add some blue tones to it. Get it to blend in. A little over here. Maybe a little bit over here. Different shades. Different tones. Hello? Hello, Thomas. Welcome. This kind of brings you back onto your cruise days, doesn't it? When you got being on a boat and... Well, tell Hershey I said hello, Thomas. A lot of my, I have calmer waters in my painting than over what my reference photo is. Yeah, it is calmer waters, I suppose. You know, I'm gonna work on it for like maybe another 30 minutes, and then it might even be like this. This might be a 2-hour long live stream too. So it makes this whole painting a 5-hour long painting. I started it last night at 9, and I worked on it for 90 minutes exactly, and shut the camera off and... Well, I'm trying to get, I'm trying to get a sense of this is the way that the wind is blowing. There's some little wind socks on top of the masts, and then we have a sail here that has like the texture of like a parachute. It looks like it's blowing this way a lot. Blowing this way. We're moving it this way, and then it's going that way. So maybe it's just blowing through calm waters. So what color am I going to come up from here? I think I'm going to add a thin layer of blue right on top of here. What I have in here, Thomas, is glazing fluid, but it's mixed in with all the different paints and stuff, and so I'm going to come right onto here. We're going to add this thin, transparent blue onto the surface. Yes, it is I'm using transparent paint. I've used transparent paint the whole way, except for in some certain areas. This is a demonstration in transparent paints and how they can really enhance your work of art. Add complexity and depth to your image. Maybe someday I'll have that relationship to tarot where I have moved the book definitions into a realm of having had internalized everything to where you are, you have layer of layer of layer, and then you add your own layer on top of it in order to create your definition of the tarot. I'm thinking about actually doing a tarot deck here soon. I think I might add some of this onto, using symbols, just symbols. I'm gonna make my own mini deck on a card size like this, and like just do I think what the magician is the infinity sign, and something like that. Maybe just a couple words on there, because I was looking for a mini keyword deck, and so I think that I'm gonna do that. So it's more like a Marseille deck all the way through. Marseille, where it's just symbols and not pictures. Yeah. I'm so sorry that things didn't work out how we wanted them to last Tuesday, and now our world is going into a different world. I'm going to put this right on here. Things haven't been easy, Thomas. I've been really struggling with everything. It's just, my anxieties have been running wild, and in a couple days I just thought I was just going like bonkers or nuts, but luckily, after doing a whole bunch of sleep, I was able to gain back some of my happiness. But today I don't feel so happy about or hopeful about tomorrow. Not so hopeful about tomorrow. I feel a little less hopeful. I wonder if... So this is my reference boats over here. They're silhouetted. I just don't understand. I don't remember where the sun was in the sky when I took this photo. To get it silhouetted like that, it should be like sunset, but I don't see any evidence in the photograph that it's... Oh, maybe this, because I remember being in Hawaii when the sun dipped down below the horizon, it just went black. It went dark. And so there's a lot of light in the sky, so maybe I just don't understand how those boats got to be so silhouetted when there's no evidence of the sun in the sky. I mean, we see silhouetted things out in the sea when it's at sunset, not at other times in the day. So maybe I'm going to add some red onto these boats, and to bring that color up to more like a brown. We have like brown boats or cream colored. Yeah, I think I might do that. Is there something crawling on my toe? All right, where are we at? Yeah, let's do that. Add some straight up red. I think I'm done with the sails. Maybe while we're bringing the red out, I got some more of this rose. Take that red over here. I'm using this airtight paint palette so that I don't waste paint. And when you paint small, you really just don't need very much paint anyway. I don't know. I think I'll just leave the boats as is. They would be white, wouldn't they? Wouldn't boats be white? But then in Imagination Land, boats can be any color you want them to be, right? In Imagination Land, where we are at right now. Let's see how transparent I can get this red to be. Add a little more water. I might add some of that onto that other one, and then a little bit more phthalo blue. Okay, all right, let's take a look. Doing that transparency test. And look, it's semi-transparent. Can you see that? That's the test. You can mix an opaque paint down, and you can turn it into a transparent paint. And put it over here. Big stripes kind of coming down here. Using the transparent paints over the different colors to achieve your effects of the colors you may or may not want. Okay, so I'm going to run over here to the other one. The other sail. I'm going to get ready to do the final step here, and I'm going to blow dry the whole thing down really dry. So I'm not going to blast your ears out. I'm not going to be cruel like that. But and then I'm going to do a thin glaze atop the whole thing. But if I have it dry, super dry, then we can come back in and lift the colors off where we don't want it to be. And so I have this, you can see here, there's a guy line there. The guy line there is over pretty heavy. And just add little flakes of this red. Actually, that's not bad. A little bit of that red in the hull of the boat too. maybe over here as well. It just kind of changes the nature of everything. We want to add some red into the sea itself. Just a little bit in there. I'm just going to put it on here, a little bit of flakes here and there. And then I'm going to take my blender brush again and get it to all work in my sea of many colors. It seems that my Sunday Missal doesn't exactly match up to the Lutheran Sunday readings, and though my pastor does print off every week, the bulletin for what readings they're going to be for this week, but I don't really want to use. I'd rather use like my Catholic Missal. My mom is a Lutheran. I grew up Lutheran, and then I became a Catholic in my mid-20s, and then now I'm kind of reverting back to being a Lutheran. But not really. I don't know what I am. I came from a Christian background, and I'm still in that whole Christian realm, but I've always been kind of Gnostic, on the Gnostic side. Chosen because it made more sense to me. The esotericism of Christianity made more sense to me since I was a little kid. I know it's just funny that way because everybody's different. But in the realm of Orthodox Christianity, esotericism has never really been popular. Let's put all these different colors in here. This is my world, you're right, Thomas. And the whole notion, I really like the idea of forgiveness. And I like the idea of grace as well. Though I would say, if I do like the muscle test on are we saved by faith, are we saved by works, are we saved by grace, it comes up grace every single time. It's funny. It comes up as grace. So it's like it's a gift. Union with God is a gift. It's not anything you have to do to get it. You already have it. So it's just a matter of it's there. It's always there for your access or for whenever you want. It's there for you. It's always there for. It's just there for everyone. And actually, it's quite a revelation if you think about it. Got these little sparklers of light. I'm gonna put this back here so it's like in the wake of the boat. It has some colors here. Just putting the color down. I've clashed with fundamentalism my entire life, and every fundamentalist has told me that I was damned. Regardless of what church I went to or whatever, it didn't matter. I was always damned because my views were not the same as theirs. And one day, I said a prayer, and I said, all right, God, wherever you lead, I'll go follow. So if you're going to lead me into hell, so be it. You'll lead me into hell. And so I embraced that path of esotericism, of mysticism. And that's, so if someone wants to know, how can I, as a Christian, practice tarot, that's the reason. It's because this is where I was led. I was led here, and I believe that I was led here by God, not by some evil forces. And now your journey is maybe different. A lot of people, their spirituality just took them completely out of Christianity, or their spirituality took them right out of religion and right into atheism. And because I believe that atheism is a spiritual path too, though no atheist would ever believe that, but I do believe that. And so what am I doing next here? I was doing another, that's right, I was going to go, let that dry just a minute. We're going to come back. I'm going to do another, I'm going to do some of this blue here onto the sail. And maybe we're going to lighten, I'm going to just do a thin layer of this. This is primary blue. I'm going to be adding right onto that sail. Then I think we'll do a very thin, and maybe it's not a thin layer of white over the top of it. Glaze it with just a thin layer of white, and just to tone it down just a tad bit. Wish I had music to play here. I mean, we got that, in the mobile app, you do have the option to I think that's as much as I want to do there. The AI music generator, so when you're making videos, you can do that. It's really rough. There's a real roughness, but maybe that's just the fabric ruffling in the wind here. Come back with a little black over the mast here. Not very straight. Well, maybe it has another sail that's wrapped up around the post there. We can do that. I think I'll do that. I might just have a second sail that's all white, and I'm going to pull this in here. It's just sort of in here. It's kind of been wrapped up. It's put away. It's kind of rippling around. It's rippling around there. It's ready to be deployed at any minute, but it's not deployed right now. And we'll just do a little bit Little tiny flecks of white. Thin coats. Thin coats, so it's like the little white tops here and there in the background. Away from that. Okay, all right, we'll just have to do it this other way. We have the mast here. I'm an old friend who went, this was a couple of years ago. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I mean, okay, I occasionally take a look in there, but I haven't deactivated my account yet. I just sort of, I'm just not there very often anymore. And one old friend said, everything on your Facebook page tells me how much you hate God. And why do you hate God so much, Bill? I can tell in your art, and I look at your art, and I can tell you how much you hate God. And so something like this told him how much I hated God. Why do you hate God? You look at this picture here, this to me shows you hate God. Why do you hate God so much? And I'm thinking, how do you know? What do you know what my relationship to God is? How does anybody know what anyone's relationship to God is? I mean, how can you tell that? I can tell just by looking at you, what you post, you hate God. And, that's actually not remotely true. I'm just not an evangelical. Just not an evangelical. A little black in here. I don't know. A little black in there because it indicates just a lot of different energy. Okay. All right. All right, let's do the next thing. I'm going to take my blender brush out again. Making sure that I don't blend anything into the sky again. I don't want to have to fix the sky. Just kind of moving it over. I'm trying to smooth the colors out. And so this is a natural hair paintbrush. Of course, I said that about a half hour ago. I'm just kind of going over this and trying to knock off some of the edges and smooth out just the colors. You can also do this with like some sandpaper too, but I actually haven't done it that method yet. I would want to make it perfectly dry first before I put a piece of sandpaper onto it. Okay, so here we go. I think what I wanted to put is a thin glaze of white on this sail here. Still, I'm not liking this boat here. I don't really like it. There's something about it. I don't think I can fix it here. Oh man, the rain is really coming down hard. Really coming down hard. Almost like it needs some... I wonder if I take some... I was going to add some of this paint to my... this is yellow ochre. And we're going to add some yellow ochre into my palette because I'm going to be needing that next when I get offline here. I'm going to put some of that in here. I'm going to test its opacity. I'm going to show you, it shows that it's an opaque paint. I believe that's what this means. It is opaque. And I might go, no, we're not doing anything other than these paints. Bill, don't you remember? You're working out of these paints. You're not working out of your golden, because you have some pre-made, pre-mixed transparent paints that you can make even more transparent. And so we're coming in doing the transparent test. And as you look at it here, you can see it is opaque. And now we're going to work on it to make it less opaque. A little bit of this glazing fluid left. And add a bunch of water. A whole bunch of water. And let's see if we can make it a bit more transparent. And I'm going to put this right over the hull of the boat to try to make it a little less dark. And so, and here we are. It is still pretty opaque. I don't know what my mom's yelling about in the other room. Oh, that's right. She's talking to my sister. My sister doesn't listen. And so you have to, it's just, you have those friends that, people okay, here we go. It's coming into that realm of that semi-transparency. All right. Let's go prop this thing up like this. And we're going to be adding this right onto the hull here. I think we'll just go over the whole thing. Like that. There we go. And that's an odd looking boat. It is. It's very odd. I know. I heard you there. You're kind of looking in, and you can see the boat looks very, very odd. When you add that thin layer of this yellow ochre over those white portholes, it almost looks like there's light shining through from the outside, inside out. Can you see that in there? I need to smooth this whole thing down, so I think we're going to go use the old finger paint method. Oh, that doesn't work very well. There's all of this stuff that screams doesn't work. This doesn't work very well. But oh well, it's working good enough, right? Maybe I use this color shaper on here. It's actually just moving the paint right off. Kind of makes it look like there's boards or something. I don't think there's any fixing this boat. It's like a lost cause. This feels like a lost cause. Does it feel like a lost cause to you? It does. I don't think I can do anything else to it. It's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna improve it in any bit, way, shape, or form. Sometimes it works that way. That's the way it works in your paintings. And I don't really do boats very often, so it just shows that I need more practice doing this. I think this is like maybe the 4th or 5th time in 5 years that I've painted a boat. Let's just put the rest of this paint down onto the side here. Okay, just like that. Then we're gonna just make some little tiny adjustments here. So I am really close to being done with this. And I think for the sake of my lack of skill with the brush, I'm gonna put in a shape like this, like we've got some people here. And I'm just gonna use this Sharpie. A couple different people. It's not working. Okay, that's not working at all. The paint is... What are they yelling about in the other room? We got a little guy over here too. 3 little guys out there. All right, let's go do what I said I was going to do, like, I don't know, minutes, hours, seconds ago. I'm going to add a thin glaze of white over this, just to lighten it up. I'm going to take that white and we're going to make it thin it out. I could go in, it's got a lot of blue in it because of all that blue in that water. All right, Billy boy, this isn't gonna work. Shall I cheat? Shall I just cheat this one? Shall I cheat it? I think I'm gonna cheat it. I'm gonna cheat it, and I'm gonna get some semi-transparent white out of my golden, my professional paints, my professional grade professional paints. And in here I have, you can here I'm shifting around. I'm looking for my transparent titanium white. And I know I have a tube of transparent titanium white someplace. I even have I have transparent black as well. Transparent blue. Maybe we'll just do a little bit of this transparent blue onto the surface there. And what was that? What was the? I was going to do. What was the complementary color I was going to do here to that? I'm going to do a complementary color as a final color graze onto like a yellow, a red-orange, I think. Maybe a red-orange. So we would be looking at a red-orange. Maybe I'll use like this color, this Liquitex, so like that, and mixed with, that's a magenta, not that one, quinacridone magenta, maybe some of this Azilion crimson, and I want that, this is, oh, there we go. Okay. So this is titanium white. It's a professional grade paint, and it is transparent. By these little lines here, you can see that it is transparent. And so I'm going to just take a tad bit of this stuff. Just the tiniest bit of this stuff, and I'm going to add it. Just want a little tiny bit, not very much at all. I'm going to take a little tiny bit, and we will use it to lighten up that one sail, like that. And so I'm going to put it over here. All right. Tiny, teeny, tiny bit. Red, orange. And then we're going to blast this thing down with the I'm going to blast it down with the hair dryer. I'm going to take that, blast it down. I guess I froze for a second. Probably the rain. And take some water and make it more transparent. Just a thin, thin-ass layer. And let's see how transparent it is. My transparent test here. And see, it's pretty damn transparent. You can see those other colors underneath it. Yeah, okay. More water. More water. All right. Come up here. More water. We're just going to drag that water in, and that's all the paint on here we're going to use. I'm going to use this. It's kind of a darker color. More water. I'm going to go wipe off that paint with the color shaper. Okay. I'm going to just use this brush. We can use that too. Okay. And then come back. We have this red here that I made. And I'm going to put some streaks in, some color streaks in it. And there we go. Okay, we got the blue over here. Put some color streaks in. Some blue. It's all these different colors in here. In my imagination, right now, this is how we have built it. Come back to the black. Come back over it. And okay. There it is. That's as much as I'm going to do here. Let's go back in with whatever got these colors on here. I'm going to go back with the blender brush one more time. It's going to add it in just some more energy. A little bit here, there. Maybe it's darker up here. Actually, it has a nice dark brown tone there on the boat again. It's a gift. It is a gift. We've all been given the same gift. And that gift transcends knowledge and beliefs. It transcends it all. Just lighten it up. Let's make the forefront of this thing a little lighter. Get that transparent white. turbulent waters. I'm going to be coming back on Tuesday evening at 9:09 p.m. Pacific time. Go work on another project, maybe. Maybe I'll start a new project. Or maybe I'll go back into my tarot coloring book and work out of that. Well, I still can, before the Christian nationalism takes over the whole country. It starts burning at the stake people like me, people who have different beliefs. I don't know. That's just me being paranoid, isn't it? We're not going to lose the freedom of religion in this country, are we? The freedom of thought, the freedom to figure things out for yourself. Is that what's coming? I like that. It has this translucent. I'm going to just finish this thing off with going in and getting the rest of this glazing fluid that has the blue in it, different colors in it. Adding these thin layers. This light blue. Try not to think about tomorrow. Remember that fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death. The litany in Dune about fear. Up front here, we're just going to run the color like this. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video if you have found any of this entertaining or amusing or anything like that. Pick up these other colors, put them in there. Just more layers. Want to make sure it doesn't turn to mud. And more layers. Got these transparent layers. Trying to make this water seem like it's full of energy, full of life. Okay. All right. I think that is. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry the whole thing with my hair dryer. So I'm going to mute it, everything. Is there something in here that I need to use the color? No, I don't need to use the color shaver for anything. And we're going to run over it with the blender brush. Just a little light strokes. Light strokes. It does have that effect of it like being a big swell here. I like that. Turbulent sea. Okay, now we're going to dry it off. And then I'm going to put a thin glaze, a color shifting glaze, over the top of the whole painting. And so guard your ears. All right, I drove everybody away by turning the sound off and blasting everybody with the hair dryer. But I wanted to dry this picture fully before I do the final step. The final, oh, my blossoms that I picked last spring are falling down. And so what we're going to do next, this is my next program. What I'm going to do next is where did my sub button go? Oh, it disappeared. Everything flies away in the wind, doesn't it? There we go. I am going to do a thin complementary colored glaze over the top of this whole thing, a unicolor. So the predominant color here is blue, and so I just need to figure out what shade of blue we're talking about here. And so let's just take a look at it on the side here. It's pretty well dried out now. I think it's dried out enough that I can do this. And so we got to figure out what shade of blue we're looking at here. I think it might be like this one here. So we have the color wheel there, kind of in between here and there. So it's kind of like this shade here. And then the complementary color is this color here. It's an orange. That is, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to build that color. I'm going to build that color orange out of, it looks like it's really close to this. So this yellow ochre, I take that yellow ochre and I got a little bit of this titanium white that is the semi-transparent titanium white. And we're going to build this color and mix it with a glazing fluid, and I'm going to put it over the entire thing. The entire thing. And so let's put this here so we get that reference point. And it may or may not. And then what I'll do is I'll go back over some of these zones, and I'm going to just lift the color off with a paper towel off of the boats. And that is, so this is a painting from beginning to end, and I started at the beginning last night at 9 p.m. and then I've been working on this 2 hours and 10 minutes today, and I'm thinking I need another container here to make that color into. I think I have another one of these containers someplace around here. I'm still here. I haven't gone away. I'm needing a different palette to make this on. It's a little bit different from what we already got here. Do I have a something I can use? A piece of plastic. A cup, a plastic cup. I'm just going through my crap here. I got a lot of crap on this craft table. I could use this large color shaver. It's a candle. I don't need a candle. Well, I don't know what to do here. Oh, I found what I'm looking for. Okay. I knew I had what I needed. So I'm going to use this cup here, this little cup here, and I'm going to mix it. I'm going to mix it in here. Let's just try to get out as much of the paint that's in here that I can. Oh, I got my battery's going to be running out soon, so I better really wrap this up fast. I got 5% power left. I have only once before run my battery dry during a live stream. And okay, so we're going to start in with some glazing fluid. And so this is a gloss liquid, glazing liquid by Golden. It's a slow drying fluid, but I'm going to put in about that much. And this yellow ochre is actually pretty damn close to the color that we're going to be using. And so I'm just going to lift that color out of here, and we're going to use this, and they're going to mix it in here really nice and thin. I'm going to add some water to it as well, and this is still way too thick, and I need to make it more transparent, otherwise we're just going to ruin this painting altogether. So I think we'll be taking this out. I think I'll take this paint out here, this thin paint, and I'll use it later. I'll put it over here. Put it right over here because I have more painting I'm going to be doing off later, off camera. So okay, now let's take some more of that glazing fluid. I'm going to mix it in there. This thing's like plugged up. Oh, it spurted right out. Okay. I've only seen it done once on a, so I've actually never done this. So this is like a first time doing this for me. I'm going to pick up this pigments in here, and I'm going to add a bunch of water into it as well. We'll use some clean water. We'll add some clean water into it, and to make it really, really thin. So it has to be a super thin layer. And I think it's still too opaque. So I'm going to pull more of it out. Because the last thing I want to do is put this pigment on top of the whole painting. I need to plug my phone in. I better do that now before the battery dies out all the way. And ow! Fucking fuck. What the hell did I step on? Okay. Alright. Let's bring this over here. This thing is so heavy. The extension cord with the... Okay. Hopefully you can still hear me. Not that what I have to say really matters any bit, but... Alright, there we go. I'm going to pull more of this back. And just take it out. Okay. Alright, I hope this is going to be opaque enough. Like that. Actually, I'm just going to mix it more down and pull more of it out. So this is like the boring part. Actually, it's all been pretty boring. I'm sure for people watching in here. Watching somebody do a painting from beginning to end live is a fairly boring thing. I'm just removing this paint. Thin, thin, thin paint. When I get it down to where it looks like the opacity that I'm looking for, then I'm going to add a bunch of water to this, and then it thins it down even more. Glazing is all. I think that's. Let's take a look at it. Let's do a color test. I'm going to do a color test here. So we've got the little lines, and so look at it. It's pretty thin. You can see how thin, how transparent this color is there. Now we're going to do that final step. I'm going to make the glaze. Okay, now I added a bunch of water in here. I'm going to mix it down. Very thin. Very thin. It's very thin colors. It's picked up the other pigments that are in here as well. Thin, thin layer. Maybe I'll come back in and take just a little bit more of this and mix it in. Okay, now let's do the opacity test one more time. Put some of this on here, and you bring it across, and you can see it is very, very transparent. So just a little bit, so most of the color and everything shows through. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and we're going to say a little prayer, because this is a first time doing this, and I don't want to ruin the painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this color over the whole thing here, and then we're going to come back in to some of these different zones here. I'm going to wipe off. I wish I had a cloth. I need a cloth. Maybe I have a sock or something I can use. Tea towel. I don't even have that here. Maybe I can use this napkin here. Maybe that'll work. Something really absorbent. Okay, we're going to start here with a little prayer. Jesus, Mary, please don't let me screw this thing up. Don't let me screw this thing up by taking this nice painting and screwing it up by putting that color glaze over the whole thing. So there we go, a little prayer. We're not going to, and I'm not going to F this thing up. It's nice and dry. I think I might do a little signature here in the side here. WJL-24. Okay. Got my little signature in there. And here goes nothing. Wasn't that what Han Solo said? So we're going to put this color glaze over the whole thing. And the effect it should have is you knowing where the sunlight is coming from. What do you think? So if you've watched the whole thing from the beginning here, and then you've seen that we are just going to come out in some these different places, and I'm going to dab this off. And lift the colors off here. You have this little bit of color that just sort of ties the... Hi, Care Bear. Welcome. Welcome. So I did something new that I have not done before. I was thinking about Wednesday sometime. No, Thursday, Care Bear. For you and me this Thursday, some oddball time of the day, early on, like early for me would be like around like 1 p.m. or noon. Probably more like 1 p.m. And I'm gonna wipe a little of it off. And there we go. Off of the sail. Just a little bit here. It has a little bit of a dirty tinge to it. But, maybe we'll put a little bit more in some other places. Like up here. I'm just going to let it dry. And there's just a little bit of this golden color in here. Yes, 1 p.m. my time. Oh, okay. Well, how about you just let me know tomorrow, and maybe we're going to be doing it through the vertical live stream mode. And so anyways, I'm going to do one last blast of the hairdryer here. One last blast of the hairdryer. And so I need to unplug, yeah. That way we can just take a look at what it looks like, all said and done. So this is a painting from beginning to end. And I need my... I can't plug all this stuff in here. Maybe I can. How many things could I plug in the same thing? Just gonna unplug the phone. Okay. So, all right. We probably won't be on for too long, so. Okay, I'm gonna go back in and dry this thing off real fast. So just hold your ears, hum to yourself. I'm gonna mute the camera out. All right. I don't know if you can tell the difference when you look at it. I don't know if you can see the difference here. But I can actually see it where there's just a little bits of this golden color mixed in, and it kind of ties all the parts of the painting together, which is what this final glaze is supposed to do. And there we have it. I think it's done. Yeah, you can't tell, but I can see from this angle that there is a difference in this piece. There is just a little bit of a different color tone over the whole thing, and it gives a even sort of a coloring from the top to the bottom, from the side to side. A little bit of like light in the sky, and there we go. And I'm going to say goodbye for today. I'm going to be back Tuesday night, 9 p.m., and we may start a new project. I'm thinking I will start a new project. We'll see how much of it we can get done at 9 p.m. And I'm going to try an interview for the first time on this show Thursday, probably like around 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But anyway, that's all for today. And I will see you all later. And thank you very much for tuning in to this was Crafting Sunday on the 999 ASMR Tarot. I wanted to thank Karen, Care Bear, for coming in, for Thomas for coming in, for Tarot Ask Backwards for coming in, for Ash for coming in, for Boink3, for Crazy Ender for coming in, for Day by Day Christine for coming in, for Zenitsu for coming in, for Durek for coming in, and for everybody else who lurked at the sides watching this presentation. And this painting from beginning to end took a total of 5 hours to do. So 2.5 hours today and 90 minutes yesterday, plus the time I used to build the underpainting. And so that's it. And I'm going to say bye-bye and have a wonderful, blessed week, working or going to school or staying home, taking care of the kids. Have a blessed time, and thank you. Bye-bye.